Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with a look at the market for the week ending June 12th, 2020. It's a beautiful day in New York. I hope it is in your area, wherever you are, and that you're enjoying this day. Um, at these times in this pandemic, as it's called, I think it forces us to contemplate the life we live, and especially in our private moments when we are isolated from others and so on. And I know what it does for me is prompts me to be grateful for all that I have, all that I experience. Um, since there's so many others who are less fortunate than I am. And some time ago, a good friend, asked me, "So what will be your legacy?" And I couldn't think of it at first. I've never been asked that question. And I thought for a second and I said simply three words: He helped others. And that's what I think it's all about. So let's do the business at hand, and that is to take a look at the market. And before we do, bring up a disclaimer here and simply understand that I'm not attempting to give any particular person advice on any particular stock or ETF, etc., that they should buy, because there's no way that anyone can do that. You need to know your own circumstances, and everybody's circumstances are different. So it'll be a general review of the market, and then we look at individual stocks, and we just sort of taking a look and see what stocks look interesting at this time. So let's begin. First of all, in case we were ever surprised by the fact that stocks go down, here is a depiction of Emmett Kelly, the famous clown by the artist Heap, um, clearly showing that stocks go down. They don't just keep going up. I have this painting over my desk, well, on the side of my desk, to remind me of this. It was given to me by a patient's husband who worked on Wall Street and knew that I was interested in investing, and I was investing. And so occasionally we would get to talk a little bit after a session, and he decided to bring this painting for me, this charcoal drawing. In any case, stocks do go down. So let's start with the monthly chart. I think we should take a look at the monthly chart. We don't do that each week, but I think today we should do that. So if you look at the weekly chart or the monthly chart rather of the S&P, let's see what we notice here. Well, certainly the S&P went pretty close to three standard deviations, this yellow dotted line, and pulled back all the way down to three standard deviations below the uh, the moving average. I think it's a 20-day moving average they use. Well, in this case, a 20-month. And since then, we had a bullish bar, we had another bullish bar, and this month we are experiencing this sort of dragonfly candlestick. And we can take a look at some other things here on the monthly chart. So we have been trending up a bit for the last few months, but also we can notice that parabolic went negative here, meaning it was showing that we are in a downtrend, and now it's switched this month, so to speak, sometime during the month, to tell us that we have now switched to an uptrend. That's good from a bullish standpoint, of course. If we look at MACD, MACD histogram is trending up slightly from below the zero line, which is good, again, from a bullish standpoint. And MACD with the 1226.9 parameters also trending up. This one is the 1939 MACD that we are using for the sell signal. RSI 12, I put that on because RSI 12, as long as it stays above the 40% line, there's good evidence that once it does that, we're not really in a bear market. Bear markets require this RSI 12 to break below the 40% line. So anyway, you can see that Williams percent hour went below the 50, minus 50 line, the magenta line, and trended back up above it. Same thing for the sum of the rate of change indicator. Now we go to the weekly chart. You can see the weekly chart came pretty close to that two standard deviation line. It just about touched it, and then pulled all the way back to fall to the 3 standard deviation line below the moving average. So now we're trending up again, and you can see that the 4 crossed over the 9 here, 4 EMA crossed above the 9 EMA, and it remains there. The 9 just crossed above the 30 weighted moving average. So that, according to the 930 system, and my friend Monteith at eFuture Vision tells us we are still in an uptrend now since we got some of these signals here. So we're in an uptrend. Now the two MACD indicators are telling us we have switched to an uptrend as well. Both sets of parameters, MACD with both sets of parameters, and also RSI 12 it broke above the 40% line, and that's indicating that we are not in a bear market, we're in a bull market, bullish market or bull market. And so you see Williams percentile again above that magenta line, and it's meandering above and below this sum of the rate of change, meandering right here above and below that line, that 4% line. And here's the daily chart. On the daily chart, you see we were hitting that 2 standard deviation line, and we pulled back, we consolidated, and then dropped, came all the way down. And we are now seeing here what is called a bullish harami, bearish bar, and the next bar, the body of this bar, which is Friday's bar, is totally engulfed by the previous bar. So that's called a bullish harami. And as the term suggests, we should anticipate higher prices. Okay, that's on the daily chart. Now we can see that on the daily chart, the MACD histogram, the 1939.9, is still holding above the zero line. And according to Jerry Appel, who designed the MACD indicator, this is the one we should look at for sell signals, more accurate, reliable sell signals. And of course, the 1226.9 is the one that he wants to use for buy signals. Now on the RSI 12, we came down to the 50% line, and we're just going horizontal on that. And you can see Williams percentile staying slightly above that magenta line, and the formula, sum of the rate of change is this, hitting that 4% line. All in all, folks, insofar as general market is concerned, seems to me that we had that pullback, and there's a reason. And I also would like to look at the daily chart for a few more minutes, and let's pause it here. You might remember some time ago I pointed out that we were looking at a bearish divergence of MACD. Well, it seems as though that bearish divergence of MACD on the daily chart came to fruition, or at least it was very prescient. It was pointing to a decline, and I did mention that at this point here, I said we are likely to see a decline. It may not be very significant. It shouldn't be significant because it's on the daily chart, not the weekly chart. Well, perhaps this is all they wrote insofar as the pullback is concerned. We can all hope that that's the case. We'll see. But generally, I think we might be finding support here. So I've looked at other indicators, and they seem to support this idea that perhaps we will find support here. One of them is Alex Elder's force index. So I'll show you the force index, the 2-period force index, and you'll see that whenever it spikes down like this here, this is called a spike below the zero line, we tend to get a move up in the market, okay? So you'll see a lot of these spike downs below the zero line. Here's another one here. Here's another one here. We tend to get a move up, right? Another one here. Got a nice move up from there. And when we have this big spike down, and the market tends to recover from there. We'll see. We'll see what happens if it occurs this time around. Let's turn to some individual stocks with Shaken. So here's Shaken Analytics, and what I've done here is I have done screens which I call my checklist, okay? What I'm looking for are stocks that are all green or pretty much green. because they meet all of Shakin's best qualifications for stocks that you ought to be putting on your watch list in order to buy. Some of them are early in terms of being able to buy as a recommendation because they come down to the oversold region, but in order to get the optimum level for buying, optimum score, they have to tick up from below the region. So that's why it's called early here. But it meets all the other criteria, and you'll see many of these stocks. And what you can do is simply pause the video and take note of any of them you'd like to take note, because I'm going to go through the whole list. Notice there are 56 of these stocks, okay, in the Russell 3000 that are all very bullish or bullish, no neutral, no bearish. And so they're pretty much going to give you good early signals, and you need to put them on a watch list and take a look. Some of them I'm not even familiar with, but who cares, you know, as long as they make you money. Got to be careful though. If the float is small, if they're not trading that many shares, if they are, you know, inexpensive stocks and they're just trading 10,000 shares a day, you don't want to be trading those. So you got to be sure that you're buying stocks with a good float, with a good daily volume, if you wish. Okay. So here we go. That's AFMD. Another one here is this one is almost oversold, so it's in a neutral territory. Big, it dropped a little bit recently, but it's gone on even further, but it's oversold, and it's indicated early, but it hasn't, because it hasn't ticked up yet. Sienna is oversold, but it hasn't ticked up. So many of these will be early in this evaluation. As I said, I won't have time to go through all of them. I'll just click on a few of them. Look at this one here. I don't know this one. It's a software company, but it certainly had a nice run up and the money flow buy alert. It's early, but it's become oversold, and I like the relative strength here. So it's something to put on your watch list. This one here is down a little recently, but it's optimal. See, it's turning up. FLWS, that's 1-800 by Flowers. Let's go down and get another bunch of them here, so you could copy them if you wish. Here's one that's have a relative strength breakout. It's early on the oversold indicator. See if we find any that we're familiar with. Don't see any of them here. These are Russell stocks. They're not very popular, some of them, you know. But here's one that's optimal. It's got a relative strength breakout, and it's oversold and ticking up. I'm going to just give you the whole list by doing this. Well, here's Facebook. Facebook I bought not too long ago, and you see that it became oversold, and it's early because it hasn't ticked up yet. But I own Facebook again. Lowe's I own, and Lowe's is becoming oversold rather, and it's meeting all the other criteria. See, green, all the green on the screen. This is one that we've been looking at, but the money flow is weak. However, it's ticking up here. It's optimal in terms of its buy signal, oversold signal. Here's another one, Monster Beverages, and it's oversold, hasn't ticked up yet, so it's going to remain as early, but everything else is green. So you want to copy this list, perhaps. I would do that and see if you can find anything more interesting to you. Here's a list of the stocks from the S&P 500. We saw these already in that previous list. Here's a list of what Shakin calls classic bulls. And you can see NVIDIA, which I own now. I've owned it for a little while now. And you can see Microsoft here. Microsoft is overbought, but I still have it. I'm not selling it. And NVIDIA is likewise. Well, NVIDIA was oversold, pretty much oversold, and I like that. And here's a list of 4 stocks making new highs in this market. That's pretty impressive. And that's all the time we have, folks. I hope you have a good weekend, and use the list to do further research and come up with those you really like. Have a good weekend.